So you're a musician and you're broke. So now what? What's up everyone? My name is Esperanza Rangel and today we're going to be talking about how to budget your money as a freelance bass player. Today I'm going to give you 3 tips that I've actually had to learn the really hard way. I have been a musician since I was 11 years old, and although at that time I was a child, I had no idea or control over my money. Once I got older and I started making my own money as a freelance bass player, I just went out of control. If you are in the norteño scene, you know that you could make bank in just one weekend, and I overspent that money, did not save a penny. So I was in my prime time at that time, and I could have probably bought a house with the money I made, but I just spent it everywhere, and that's fine because I had good time. However, I am here to show you how to make sure that you take care of your money as a freelancer. We're gonna go in hot and we're gonna go in straight away with number 1. Number 1 is create a budget and be realistic about it. If you know that you are playing around 4 to 5 shows in a month, kind of try to see how much you will get paid for this gig. Usually we do know how much we're gonna get paid, especially if you're under a contract, you know how many hours you're gonna be there for, you have an idea. So it is kind of hard and tricky to kind of think of that money as existing because it's not in your hand yet, and it is not like a set paycheck. Something could happen, the gig could get canceled, and then yeah, you're screwed, right? So what happens here is that you have to be realistic on your life as a musician, as a freelancer. So make sure that you do budget every single penny, at least for the beginning. One of the things that I now do to budget my money is that I have this budget planner. So this one right here allows me to write down every single thing that I spend money on, that I owe, what I'm trying to do with my money. If I'm trying to save it or budget for something specific, or now that I am trying to move out of my home, what I need to do with this money is kind of group it so that it actually grows, right? So I write everything down on this budget planner, and that's what I was doing for a long time, but I would sit down every single Sunday. Now I sit down every single Sunday and I make sure that I write down every single thing that I spend and what I need to buy or what I need to actually pay for to make sure that's taken care of. But then that soon ended when I found this app called Every Dollar. To clarify, I'm not at all sponsored by this app, but by all means, if you do want to sponsor me, you know. But this app is called Every Dollar, and pretty much it allows you to add all your money in there, like whatever you make at the end of the month. It has all these spaces where you could put every single thing that you're spending. Pretty much almost the same thing as if I was doing it on a budget planner, except this is on a digital form. This is in an app, so a lot of times people now prefer that than to actually write things down. And I actually didn't think I was gonna like that, but you might like it. I think you should try the Every Dollar app. This is from Dave Ramsey, and he is one of the biggest people out there that's known to help people budget their money and actually pay off all their debt. Number 2, if you are freelancing and you know for a fact that, you know, when you freelance, it kind of be a hit or miss. Sometimes it's really good time, sometimes it's not. Like during the first months of the winter, it's really hard on musicians because there's not much gigs. But then later on it gets better because there's graduations, there's weddings, there's all kinds of events, so then it picks up, right? So if you know that that's gonna happen and you are freelancing and that's all you do, then just be mindful of that. You always have to have some sort of money put away, like an emergency fund of sorts, so that in case something was to happen and you're not able to get booked, then you have some money aside. Let me run this by you guys a little bit. Let's say you are playing for a long time and somehow, I mean, we're bass players, we could get injured. Somehow you get injured and you're not able to play. What are you gonna do? How are you gonna support yourself? So you gotta make sure that you're thinking ahead before you actually just go out and spend your money like that. I know I said I was gonna have 3 tips, but I think it's gonna be like 4 of them. The tip number 3 is that you have to make sure that you're mindful of what you're spending. So for example, if you're making $1,000 at a gig, but you are very well aware that from those $1,000 you have to pay like $500 in rent and then $200 in like insurance and then your phone, you know that the rest of the money, you either put it aside to a savings, or you invest it, or you actually spend it. We don't want to restrict ourselves too much either. But you have to think, you cannot you cannot think of yourself as a musician that is living a life as you're making $1,000, because in reality, although you're making it, that money is going somewhere else. It's not going freely into your pocket. So you can't do that. I know I remember that at that time when I used to play, oh my gosh, I would get too excited about playing, and then I would just take off the next day shopping, and I would just spend everything that I made on my gigs on shopping, and then I was stressed out about rent. No bueno, that's not good. So think about it that way. So you have to make sure that you want to live a good life, because once you are able to make good money off of gigging, then you're set. You know that that's like the dream for a musician. I remember also before when friends wanted to go to nightclubs, like if I was on a day off or something, and I would be so like judged, because I used to always say, I'm not gonna go spend money at a place where I get paid to go. So I knew I was working these gigs at these venues, so why would I go back there and spend my money on my days off there, right? It just didn't make sense. So why would you do that? If you are gigging at a nightclub, why would you go there on your day off and spend all that money there when you're getting paid to go there? You don't want to do that. And I remember that I got a few like comments about it, and people would say like, you're stuck up, or you think you're all that, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna allow myself to do that. So just be mindful as well with your money like that. And the last one, as a bonus tip, get a job. I'm sorry, you probably didn't want to hear this, but if you're not headlining, there is no reason why you shouldn't have a job. That job has to be paying for all your gig expenses. You need gas money, you need food, you need new equipment. If you are someone that wants to play with the best and the best of equipments, like how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna have the best amp, GK amp, Legacy, for example, if you don't have a job to pay for it? Because living off of gigs, and if you're not headlining or actually making at least $4,000 a month, you won't be able to survive, at least not in California. Very rock and roll to not have a job, but we're trying to elevate here. So you need to have that, but also don't make the mistakes that I made. I used to have a job before too, and then I would go gig, and that money that I had from those gigs, I used to think of it as like play money, and I used to just spend it instead of saving it. So if you have a job, that extra money that you get from gigs, make sure that you are putting it aside to either save or to invest it somewhere, so that you get either out of debt or just have a really good life and be able to retire sooner. There will be a point where if you save enough, you might even be able to actually not have to worry about money and leave space for creativity, because you're just focusing on music. Of course, this is just independent to you. If you're a single person or if you're married, that's a whole different ball game, and that just goes down to what agreement you have with your partner. But why would you want to be broke all the time when you could just have a job, go gig, and then later on, maybe when you're like free of all debt, be able to, you know, just freely do it. That's just the way I think, but you could try out whatever you like. If you have other actual tips for us to budget your money as a freelance bass player, by all means, please drop them in the comments. Also, there is, you can report taxes of it. I remember I reported taxes on it for like 3 years, and I got a lot of money back. I don't know how. Please don't send me to jail. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. So maybe look into that. Other than that, this is Esperanza Rangel signing out. This is Saucy Bass Talk. Just a quick tips on how to be mindful of your money when you're freelancing. We all want to be musicians and artists, and that's beautiful, but you got to be mindful of the economy now, and also just pinpoint what are your actual goals, and your goals have to meet or have to be aligned with your actual actions, right? You can't just have a goal and not act on it, and vice versa. There has to be those two things happening. And learn from my mistakes, you guys. You guys are smart. And I'm excited just to see you guys just, you know, do good in life.